Good morning, afternoon, good evening. Thank you all so much for being here. This is day 2 of a residential conference. So we'll go ahead and begin in an upright and seated posture. Allow yourself to find something comfortable, but if you can, find this upright position with the spine. So even if you aren't perched upon a cushion, if you're just cross-legged on your mat, maybe legs out to the front, out to the side, we'll begin by erecting our spine, feeling that sensation of stacking the vertebrae one on top of the other, all the way from the sits bones to the center of the head. So as we begin class, we'll start with this upright posture so that our belly can expand, allowing that long inhale to come all the way down into our low belly, and the exhale to settle and letting the diaphragm slide back up into the ribs. So we'll begin with some long, deep inhales and exhales. Allow your awareness to drop into the body, maybe noticing just for a moment as you settle into stillness, if the body has anything it needs to say to you, maybe a slight shift in the pelvis, softening the jaw, dropping the shoulders. And as we bring our awareness deeper into the body, notice the rise and fall of the belly with each inhale and exhale. Notice how the belly can expand not only out in front of us, but the sides of the belly, maybe even feeling a fullness in the low back with each inhale and exhale, releasing that all the way back up into the ribs. So the diaphragm drops down, belly fills in all directions. Exhale, belly settles back in towards midline. Diaphragm gently retreats back up into the ribs. And we'll spend the next few moments just becoming more familiar with this process. Maybe it's something you do multiple times a day. Maybe this is new. Wherever you're at in your relationship with deep belly breathing, attempt to let each one be new and different, bringing beginner's mind into each breath. As we let our awareness settle into the breath, we can slowly realize that the workings of the world can fall away. Everything that you brought with you to your mat, everything that you'll step into when class is over, all of that can simply settle, maybe placing it on the earth around your mat, allowing this small space that we've created for ourselves to help us stay fully present in this moment. Letting the breath be our guide, long inhales, long exhales. And we'll take one more long, conscious, deep breath together. And with our next inhale, reaching the fingertips out towards the edges of the mat. Having those fingers and arms, palms all be really active. So we're reaching the fingers in all directions, reaching the tips of the fingers out towards the edges of the mat, sitting up nice and tall. And we engage the core to help us hold this posture. And with our next exhale, we'll bring right ear towards right shoulder. As we arc over, imagine that there's a rainbow coming out through the center of your head. So we're arcing into this posture rather than crunching the ear towards the shoulder. Lengthening up through the spine, out the center of the head. Allowing that right ear to come towards the right shoulder, keeping arms and fingers active and strong. From here, chin rolls down towards the chest. Nice and slow, feeling that lengthening of the back of the neck. And eventually the left ear reaches towards left shoulder. Again, that arcing out from the center of the body out the center of the head. Arms and fingers are active and strong. And with our next inhale, coming all the way back through center. Arms rise up overhead, lifting through the center of the body, reaching those arms up. Feeling the belly fill with breath. And on the exhale, we'll arc over. Right hand comes down to the earth, left arm reaches up and over. Opening through the side body, one more breath here. And with our next inhale, coming all the way back through center, arms reach towards the sky. I apologize, I had the COVID vaccine yesterday. I cannot lift my arm directly up overhead, but both arms are reaching high up overhead. And on the exhale, we'll arc the opposite direction. Left hand reaches down to the earth, right arm reaches up and over. And with our next inhale, we'll come all the way back through center. Again, reaching those fingertips up towards the heavens, dropping the shoulder blades down towards the earth, feeling the length of the spine, the strength of the belly. And on our exhale, both hands float down. Coming around the back of the body, we'll interlace the fingers, knuckles press out towards the earth, rolling the shoulders back, lifting the chest towards the heavens. Gaze can be directly out in front, or you can allow your gaze to rise just slightly where the wall and the ceiling meet out in front of you. Opening through heart center. We'll take 2 long deep breaths here, filling the heart, bringing in warmth, compassion, love, kindness. Letting that begin to burn in our heart center. And on our exhale, slowly release. And we'll slide off of our cushion if we're up on one and bring our feet directly out in front. Toes reach for the sky, sitting right up on top of those sits bones. Bringing the heels gently up off of the earth. Kneecaps come back towards us, starting to activate the tops of the legs. Reach those toes towards the sky, lengthening through the calves, maybe even feeling that stretch come up through the backs of the knees. Again, strong through the belly, sit up tall. Next inhale, arms rise to the sky, reaching the fingers up towards the heavens. And on our exhale, we'll fold forward, throwing the fingers way out over the toes. Belly button comes down first, heels make their way down to the earth, and we continue rolling the sits bones out behind us. Belly comes down first, and then chest. Finally, gaze drops to the knees. You're welcome to keep those knees bent if that feels most right for you this morning. Again, continue rolling the sits bones out behind you. We'll allow our next long, deep inhale to bring our body up just slightly away from the legs, letting the belly fill with breath. And on the exhale, folding forward. Maybe finding you can come just a slight deeper. And finding those long inhales, long exhales. Allowing the breath to help soften into the posture rather than pushing or forcing. We can use the inhale to lengthen through the body and the exhale to settle deeper. We'll take 2 more deep breaths here. And with our next inhale, slowly coming back to center. We're going to bring our left leg in with us. Keep that right leg extended out. Picking up the left foot and bringing it across the right. We're going to hold onto this left knee with the inside of our right elbow. So hugging that left knee in nice and tight. Left hand can come down behind us. Again, on the inhale, we lift and lengthen. On the exhale, gently twist. Allow that twist to start at the hips. Engage the low belly. And with each exhale, maybe twisting a little bit deeper. Again, let the inhale lift and lengthen. Exhale, twist. If it feels right for you, gazing over the left shoulder. Keeping that right leg strong, right toes stay reaching for the sky. And on our exhale, slowly unwind. We'll uncross this left leg, placing the sole of the foot on the inside of the right leg. Left knee makes its way down towards the earth. And with our inhale, arms rise to the sky, and we'll fold forward over this right leg, reaching those fingertips way out over the toes. Belly comes down first, and then chest, and finally gaze drops to the knee. Finding the breath, letting the inhale and exhale keep you in this present moment. And with our next inhale, slowly coming back to center. We'll bring this right foot in with us. Both of the feet come towards the pelvis, soles of the feet together, finding Baddha Konasana, allowing the hands to rest on the knees. We sit up nice and tall. Breathing into the hips, allowing the legs to be heavy. One more deep breath here. And with our exhale, slowly extending the left leg out in front. We'll keep the right foot where it is. And then stand that right knee. Right foot comes across the left side of the body. Again, we'll hold this right knee with the inside of the left elbow, hugging that knee in nice and tight. Right hand comes around behind the back of the body. On our inhale, we lift and lengthen. On the exhale, twist. Starting in those hips and in the low belly, eventually mid belly. If it feels good for you, finding the gaze over the right shoulder. We lift and lengthen on the inhale, twist on the exhale. Left leg is strong, left toe reaching for the sky. One more breath here. And slowly release, coming all the way back through center. We'll uncross this right leg, placing the sole of the foot on the inner thigh of the left, and then dropping that knee towards the earth. Inhale, arms rise to the sky, and on the exhale, we fold forward. Belly comes down first, and then chest, gaze towards that left knee. As we rest here in the posture, notice where in the body you're holding that maybe you can let go. Maybe it's that right hip. Maybe it's the shoulders. Maybe the jaw. And with our next inhale, coming back to center, left leg comes in, we'll find Baddha Konasana. But from here, we'll bring our feet to the front edge of the mat and our bottom to the back edge of the mat. So we're taking up the full width of the mat, a nice big diamond in our lap. Right hand comes underneath the right ankle. Right elbow makes its way down towards the earth. It doesn't have to touch. That's just our trajectory, straight down. Left arm reaches for the sky, opening through the chest. Left fingers reach up towards the heavens. Feeling that long wingspan from those left fingers down through the chest, out that right elbow into the earth. Gaze can be up at the sky or directly out in front. One more breath. And on our exhale, slowly unwind, coming all the way back through center. Left hand comes underneath the left ankle. Again, that left elbow makes its way down towards the earth. Right arm reaches for the heavens. Right arm stays nice and active, really reaching up here. Right sits bone stays pressed into the earth, opening through the side body. And on the exhale, slowly unwind, coming all the way back through center. We'll make our way onto hands and knees, finding tabletop, palms directly below the shoulders, knees directly below the hips, peeling the belly up and away from the earth, finding a nice strong core. We're going to place the tops of the feet down onto the mat, and with our next inhale, press the feet into the earth and lift the knees. Just about an inch or so, feeling the engagement of the core. Strong through the belly, press the hands deep into the earth, and on our exhale, slowly lowering the knees back down, keeping that strength and control in the core. We're going to curl our toes under, sits bones roll to the sky, and we find downward dog. Allowing those knees to bend, rolling the sits bones up towards the heavens. We'll pedal out one heel at a time. So shifting that weight from left to right. And eventually finding your downward dog, sits bones roll to the sky, heels make their way towards the earth. One more long breath here. And then gently bring the feet to the outer edges of the mat. So we're taking up the full width of the mat. Feet are a little bit wider than hip width. We're going to walk our hands back towards the feet so that we're in a short, stout downward dog. Sits bones roll to the sky. Heels continue to press down to the earth. From here, we're going to bring the left hand to the outside of the right ankle. Gazing under that right armpit. Trying to keep the weight evenly balanced between the left and the right foot. Knees can stay bent if that feels best for you. One more breath here. And on the exhale, left hand comes back out in front. Deep breath in our short, stout downward dog. And then right hand comes to the outside of the left ankle. Gaze under the left armpit. One more breath here. And slowly release. We'll take one long deep breath in our short, stout downward dog. And on the exhale, walk the hands all the way back to meet the feet. And we'll heel to toe, step those feet a little closer together, bringing them back to hip width, finding ourselves in a full forward fold. Interlacing the hands at the elbows, we'll let the upper body dangle. A gentle shake of the head, yes. A gentle shake of the head, no. One more long deep breath here. Placing the hands just below the knees, flat against the shins, we'll inhale for a flat back. Gaze at the earth, peel the belly up and away, remembering that strong core from when we were in tabletop. Same idea here. One more breath. And exhale back into our full forward fold. We'll make our way to standing one vertebrae at a time, soft and buoyant in the knees. So allow those knees to bend slightly. Belly button stays pulled in towards the spine to help protect our low back as we rise up. Again, one vertebrae at a time, stacking them on top of one another. Shoulders roll down and back. The last thing to rise is the gaze. We'll spend one long deep breath here. And on our inhale, arms rise to the sky. Palms come to touch. And on the exhale, we fold forward, pressing those palms towards one another. Hands come just below the knees. We'll inhale for a flat back. And on our exhale, fold forward. Walking the hands out in front, making our way into downward dog. Continuing to roll the sits bones up towards the heavens. Heels make their way towards the earth. We'll take one long deep breath here. And with our next inhale, gaze comes up in between the hands. Right foot steps forward. Plant the feet for warrior one and take your time coming up. Press strong into that right leg as we rise up. Arms reach for the heavens, fingertips engage, strong and active. That right knee is directly above or somewhere behind the ankle. Bring the left hip slightly forward so we can keep the hips nice and square. Heel of the right foot in line with the instep of the left. If that doesn't feel comfortable for you, you can bring the feet a little bit wider. And a slight tuck from in that tailbone. So imagine trying to bring the pubic bone towards your bottom ribs, creating a nice strong core in the low belly. Arms reach for the sky. We'll take one more breath here, warrior one. And on our exhale, we fold forward, placing one hand on either side of that right foot. We'll straighten the right leg, gaze comes to the right knee. One more deep breath here. And on our exhale, gently bend the right knee so the hands can come down onto the earth, and we'll step the right foot back, finding downward dog. And with our next inhale, gaze comes up in between the hands, and we'll step the left foot forward. Again, plant the feet for warrior one. Heel of the left foot in line with the instep of the right foot. Gently bend that left knee, strong in the left leg, engage the belly as we rise up. Arms reach towards the heavens, shoulders drop down the back. We bring that right hip forward now, left hip comes back slightly. Again, a gentle tuck in the tailbone. This is a very small micro movement, bringing pubic bone towards the bottom ribs. And we find our breath here. And on our exhale, hands come down, placing them on either side of that left foot, straightening the left leg. Gaze comes to the knee. One more long, deep breath here. And on our exhale, gently bend that left knee just enough for the hands to come to the earth, and we step the left foot back, finding downward dog. Child's pose is always welcome here. One more long, beautiful breath. And with our next inhale, we'll walk the feet forward to meet the hands. Making our way to the center of the mat, finding that full forward fold for one breath. We inhale for a half lift, and we exhale and fold forward. Coming up to standing one vertebrae at a time. Keep that belly in strong, soft in the knees. Again, the last thing to rise is the gaze. And here we find our breath. I'm going to turn just to face you. You're welcome to stay where you are, or you can turn to be sideways on the mat. We'll shift our weight onto that right leg. Left foot will come for tree, either at the ankle, maybe into the calf, or up into the inner thigh, just not directly into the knee. From here, hands come to heart center. Nice and strong in that standing leg. We want the knee to be buoyant, not locked out or hyperextended. So finding that gentle posture of the knee. Hands come to heart center, and we lift through the center of the head. You're always welcome to find a wall or a chair in your home space to help with balance. Take one more breath here. And with our inhale, arms rise to the sky. We'll bring that left knee out in front. So our ankle, our knee, and our hip are all at 90. Fingers reaching for the heavens, shoulders pressing down the back. One more long breath here. And on our exhale, we'll bring our arms down for goalpost arms, goddess arms. Elbows are bent at a 90, fingers are nice and wide. On our exhale, we're going to turn towards this bent knee. So on the exhale, we twist to the left. Use the belly for this twist. Engage those obliques. Gaze is out to the left. One more breath here. Slowly release back to center. We're going to play with balance. Arms rise up overhead. Again, finding a chair or a wall in your home space if that feels most right for you. We're going to kick this left foot out behind and find warrior three. Arms reach out in front. Gaze is down at the earth. Strong in that right leg. Again, that knee is still buoyant. Pressing strong through the left heel. One more breath. And on our exhale, we'll come all the way back through center and release into standing. Roll the shoulders back. Nice big shoulder rolls. Change directions. And then slowly find that strong standing posture. Feet ground down into the earth. Fingertips reach down. One more breath here. And then gently shift your weight onto the left. Right foot comes to the ankle, maybe to the calf, maybe to the inner thigh. Again, just not right into the knee. Right knee presses out behind. Keep those hips nice and square. Hands come to heart center. Settle your gaze on something out in front. Grab for that wall or chair if that's there for you. And with our next inhale, we'll bring our arms up overhead. We're reaching those fingers up towards the heavens, lengthening through the body. Feeling that bi-directional pull from the heavens to the earth, from the earth to the heavens. One more breath here. And on our exhale, hands come down. Goalpost arms, goddess arms. Fingers are spread wide, elbows bent, chest open, strong through the belly. And then bringing that foot out in front. So hip, ankle, and knee are all at 90 degrees. On the exhale, we're going to turn towards that right knee. Again, use the belly. That's strong through those obliques. Gaze is out to the right. Attempting to keep those shoulders square. One more breath here. On our exhale, all the way back through center. Arms rise to the sky as we kick the right foot out behind. Find warrior three. Soft and buoyant in that left leg, pressing through the right heel, reaching the fingers out overhead. One more breath. And on our exhale, we'll bring that right foot back down to standing. Hands float down by our sides. Big shoulder rolls up and back. Change directions. And slowly release. One long, deep, beautiful breath here in our strong mountain pose. And on the exhale, we'll bring ourselves down to the mat. Go ahead and grab for that strap or rope or belt, whatever you may have in your space. We're going to set the strap down by our side and make our way all the way to the earth. We're going to keep the left knee standing so that left heel stays nice and close in towards our bottom. And then placing the strap around the bottom of the right foot. We'll extend that right leg up towards the sky. From here, we want to engage the belly. We're pressing through the right heel, and the belly stays nice and strong. We want to feel the back flat against the earth here. You can hold on to the strap for a little bit of support. We're going to let the left leg lengthen. As we straighten that left leg down, we want to hover for about an inch or so over the ground. So right before the foot touches the earth, feeling the small of the back press down into the earth. One more breath. And on our exhale, we'll let that left leg come all the way down. Resting the left leg on the earth, right leg's reaching for the sky. We're going to have the strap in the right hand and allow this right leg to extend out to the right. So we're using the strap to help guide our leg. Maybe the foot wants to hang out down towards the other foot. Maybe the leg wants to come up and extend out directly from the hip or up towards the shoulder. Wherever you're at, enjoy the stretch. Trying to let go of any desire or expectation for it to be different than it is. Again, we're pressing strong through that right heel. The left leg stays really strong. So those toes are reaching for the sky. The leg is active. We're still pressing out that left heel. Left hand can rest on the hip or out to the side. And we're going to breathe here. And with our exhale, gently bend the right leg. Bring the knee in towards chest and then extend the right foot back up towards the heavens. We're going to place the strap in the left hand, gently bringing this right leg across the left side of the body. We're not going to come all the way to the earth. We're just going to come across midline where we start to feel the long stretch on the outside of the right leg. So we want to keep that right hip pressed down onto the earth. Keep the shoulders down. Both shoulders stay on the mat. And we're finding that long lateral stretch from the right hip all the way up out that right heel. One more long deep breath here. And on our exhale, gently bend the knee, bring the knee in towards chest. Take one deep breath here. And we'll remove the strap, put that right foot down. We're going to bend the left leg and bring that knee in towards us, placing the strap on the bottom of the left foot. Extend the left foot up towards the heavens. Again, feeling the strength in the low belly as the small of the back stays pressed down onto the earth. We're slowly going to pick up that right foot, extend the right leg, let it hover just about an inch or so over the ground. Feel the strength in the belly here. If you notice that the small of your back starts to rise up off the earth, go ahead and drop the right heel. You want to protect the low back here. And on our exhale, release the right leg down onto the earth. We'll place the strap in the left hand and gently allow the leg to extend out to the left side of the body, using that strap to help guide so you don't drop too fast or too deep. Maybe you notice the longer you sit in this posture, the higher up the foot can go. Just paying attention, listening to what's happening inside your body, allowing your breath to be your anchor to this present moment. Right foot stays flexed, really pressing out that right heel. One more breath here. And on our exhale, we'll bend the left knee, bringing the knee towards the chest, and then extending the left foot back up towards the sky. We'll place the strap in the right hand. Again, we're going to bring this left foot across midline, but just far enough so that we start to feel a stretch in the outside of the left leg. Pressing up through the heel. Right leg strong. One more breath here. And slowly returning that left leg back to center. We're going to bend the knee, bringing that knee in nice and close. Give another great big hug. And from here, we'll bend the right knee, bringing the right leg back in. Both knees are in towards chest, maybe a gentle rock from side to side. And we're going to slide the right foot inside the strap. So now both feet are in the strap, and we'll extend the feet up towards the heavens. Finding ourselves in this modified legs up the wall posture. In your home space, if you would rather be all the way up against the wall, feel free to shift your mat in your position. And we'll breathe here, feeling the spine lengthened all the way down on the earth. Heels are reaching for the heavens, legs are nice and straight. We want to attempt to be holding on to the strap in a way that doesn't use a whole lot of our upper body strength. So maybe you want to roll your hands in the strap and just let the arms dangle. Just finding a position that feels right for you. For any women on the call, if you are on your moon, it's only recommended to be in this posture for a couple of breaths. So go ahead and allow yourself to modify if need be. Finding long inhales and long exhales here. And we'll spend 2 more breaths here. With our next exhale, bringing the soles of the feet together and then bending those knees, pulling the feet in towards your body. If you can reach your feet, you can go ahead and let go of the strap. Otherwise, use the strap to help guide you into reclining Baddha Konasana. Pressing the knees away, pulling the feet in close. One more long, deep breath here into the hips. And with our exhale, we'll slowly release, setting the strap by our side, feet come down onto the earth. Hands are down by our sides. A couple of small pelvic tilts here, pressing small of the back into the earth as the tailbone points to the space between the knees. And then pressing the tailbone down into the earth as the small of the back rises off the mat. Just a couple more here. Flexing and extending at the hips. One more breath. And then finding center. We'll allow the legs to come all the way down onto the mat. Arms come up overhead, a full body stretch here from fingertips to toes, reaching those fingers way out overhead, pointing through the toes, lengthening through the belly. And on the exhale, slowly release. We'll allow the feet to flop around so that we don't need to bring any strength or tension into the toes or the feet. Maybe a gentle windshield wiper from left to right, or feet pointing out and then feet pointing in. And then slowly make your way back into stillness. Arms will come down by our sides, palms open to the space around us, feeling the backs of the hands become heavy on the earth, backs of the arms making contact with your mat, shoulders rolling down and back. Bringing our awareness into our breath, long inhales and long exhales, allowing our body to recognize it's coming into this place of stillness. We're finding Shavasana, finding corpse pose. Again, we allow the feet to gently flop open. Fingers are unfurled, palms open to the space around us. And we'll gently place our tongue right behind the front two teeth where the teeth meet the roof of the mouth, allowing the jaw to be open and at rest. Eyes are closed or finding a settle and easy gaze. Feeling a softness, a heaviness in the cheeks. Allowing the back of the head to make full contact with the earth. And then again, bringing our awareness into our breath. Feeling the belly extend in all directions with each inhale. Allowing the belly to settle and soften in towards the spine with each exhale. And as we rest in Shavasana, allowing our body to find comfort in stillness, encouraging the mind to also find comfort in stillness. The natural tendency of the mind to wander. So when we notice that it has wandered off into thought, just gently bring your awareness back into the belly, watching the rise and fall of the inhale and exhale. Following the natural rhythm of the breath, we don't need to mitigate or change the natural breath cycle, just simply become witness. Maybe allow the sensation of curiosity to come into the body, just being curious about the rise and fall, watching as if an observer of the belly. And maybe even through curiosity, wonder and amazement begins to come into the body, recognizing that the body will breathe for us like a loyal friend, continuing to rise and fall. The breath almost as if offered as a gift for us to settle our awareness, maintaining contact with this present moment. Maybe an awareness comes into the body of something that's tensing up or asking for a small micro movement or adjustment to find more comfort. We can listen to the body, allowing the shift, gentle movement, a deeper settling, and then let the focus come back into the breath. Following the long inhale, long exhale. And for these last couple of moments of Shavasana, letting go of even your attempt to stay present with the breath. Letting go of any attempt to control the mind. And simply allowing yourself to feel for even just a moment that sensation of pure rest. Nothing is being asked of you. There's nowhere to go. No questions to answer. No problems to solve. Just simply in this moment, finding that place of deep rest and restoration in the body, the mind, and the spirit. And slowly allow your next inhale to welcome movement back into the body. We'll create a gentle fist in the hands, a small squeeze, and then slowly release. Flexing the feet, pointing the toes up towards the heavens, and then a gentle release. And again, a fist with the hands and point the toes to the sky. And then a gentle release. We'll allow our next breath to roll the wrists in one direction, roll the ankles, and then change directions. And then release, finding that place of stillness. One more long breath here. And with our next inhale, making our way over onto one side. Maybe bringing knees in towards chest, maybe resting the head in the hand. And we'll take one long deep breath here in the side lying position, allowing our body and mind to transition from stillness into the movement of our day. And with our next inhale, slowly start to press up, coming back into that comfortable upright and seated posture. Maybe legs are crossed or extended out in front. Sitting up nice and tall, hands resting on the knees. And making one more conscious contact with the breath. Long, deep inhale. Deep belly breath. Gentle exhale. And with our next inhale, we'll bring hands to heart center. I want to thank you all so much for being here with us. Enjoy your day at the conference, and I hope to see you again tomorrow or later this week. Namaste.